Saint Anger was, quote unquote, like wearing a pair of old comfortable shoes again, according to you. A year later, do you still enjoy wearing those shoes?
I'd say so, yeah. I definitely enjoy wearing those shoes. The shoes are definitely have weathered pretty well in the last year. I think that obviously Saint Anger, it feels great. I can understand the main difference now between now and then is that I can understand the difference between how challenging people found the record in the beginning. Do you know what I mean? People are like, this record's really challenging. I'm like, what are you talking about? It's just the next Metallica record. I can see now when I put it on, I go, whoa, this is a bit of a mouthful for, the last song was I Disappear and No Leaf Clover, or King Nothing, or whatever the last few songs we threw out in the late 90s were. I can see the challenge in that now, but I'm proud of that. And I'm proud because Metallica has always been about shifting gears and about, throwing it for a loop and kind of having crazy fun with what we do, and it just, to me, that's the Metallica spirit. It has been a little bit surprising to me and a little bit bewildering that people were so, I guess to me it's surprising that people were so surprised by this, because to me it's such a natural extension of who we are, like we're talking about in the comfortable shoe analogy. Do you know what I mean? I think that the record, we finished it about a year ago right now. We're talking here in late March, and I think it's held up well. And I think, it'd be really interesting to see if we do Maytallica, 2009 or something, if we're sitting here in 5 years, and talk about, I'd like to see how we look back on it then and how people look back on it. Because I remember, man, when the Justice album came out, and what was it, 1953 or something, there was a pretty polarized reception to that. That was a lot of people that couldn't understand the way it sounded and that were put off by the kind of garage qualities in it and the lack of hi-fi and all this type of stuff. And now for a lot of Metallica people, and it's sort of like the cornerstone, So I don't know. We'll see, man. A year in, it feels good. And it's just, I'm proud of the fact that we made the record. I'm proud of the fact that, we lasted another year just to sit and look back on it,
Not only with the lack of radio play that Saint Anger got nationally, but even the fact that the record company had to struggle for it, it had to feel a bit like Kill 'Em All. With that in mind, do you feel the band has somewhat come full circle?
Man, I'm not the best one with talking about those kind of analogies, full circle, not, Kill 'Em All this, Metallica's place in the, cultural universe, 2004 and all that. There are people that can do that much better than me. I feel that we have once again proven to everybody that you should never take Metallica for granted. And to me, that was always, to me, that's the Metallica spirit. And full circle, I don't know, man. I don't think it's a circle as much as a journey. I've said this a couple times in the last year. You might have heard me say it. You can start rolling your eyes right now. But to me, it's a forward-moving journey that once in a while moves through neighborhoods that look familiar or feel familiar. You know what I mean? It's like, haven't I been here before? But to me, it's still moving forward. It's not necessarily circling. I'd like to think of it as a continuous journey forward.
All the live shows for the Madly in Anger at the World Tour are now easily and quickly available to the public. So obviously Metallica's brought a mobile studio on the road with them. Now, are you guys utilizing that as well for new material?
Well, we have a studio on the road, and your definition of studios can obviously be varied, but we have recording equipment with us on the road. Mike Gillies, who has done the last 4 or 5 records with Bob Rock. He's kind of Bob Rock's sidekick. He's with us traveling full time. We get together every night about 30 minutes before we go on stage and jam, riff through all these fun things, spur of the moment stuff. Now that we're playing a lot of different old songs and pulling a lot of older stuff out of our back catalog, those get 1 or 2 airings as we are in the in the studio there, and then trying to sort of get in the moment. Starting with songs like Blackened and Battery and some of the really, really super fast stuff that we do and have been doing for the whole year. It's not so easy on the old 40-year-old battered bodies, you know. So we, by the time we get up on stage, we're about 20 to 30 minutes into our night actually playing. So we're nice and warmed up and so on. So we get good jams in. Mike Gillies records them. We have some fun on the old stuff. We warm up, you know, whoever's around. It's like a good time. And it's something that we didn't used to do a lot in the early days. And so we're much more comfortable playing all the time. And just kind of being around music, you know. 10 years ago was more like, oh, time to go on. Let me put my little silly shorts on and get up on stage. Now, you know, we warm up. We have a trainer with us who works with our, you know, arms and our necks and our backs, and you know, it's a little more, you know, we're a little more mature about some of that and treat it a little more seriously and try and make sure that nothing hopefully will happen, you know, in terms of injuries or any of that type of stuff. But I think I'm straying from the original question.
That's fine. Yeah, Mike was telling me about that in Seattle. I was like, man, I never thought about that. What these bands are idiots. Why didn't they do this a long time ago? You know, like who would not get warmed up before they go out there? You know, so you're not just going out cold, but you're also into it. Your adrenaline's already just fucking going. You know, especially when you just jump into the shit you guys jump into. You can't ease into that. Let's talk about the book. So what is it again?
I don't know.
So far, so bad, so ugly.
Whatever it is.
I can't think of anyway.
I don't know what it's. So far, so good, so mad. Or
so ugly.
So far, so what? So good, so.
So far, so mad. Oh wait. So far, so good, so. All right, whatever. The good, the mad, and the ugly.
That's it. Yeah.
The new book. Was the writer Stefan Shirazi, was he given a complete open door policy? I mean, how much editing, if any, was done by the band members? I mean, did you guys read through the book and go, I don't know if I want that in there, or did he just have an open door and just read whatever you want? Just compile the So What magazines?
Well, I'd like to think that if, you know, anything that's been in So What magazine was suitable for printing or reprinting. I mean, what we prided ourselves about, you know, the So What magazine for all those years was that we felt that it was such a personal, direct connection to the fans. Do you know what I mean? And it just felt like maybe there would be some people that would appreciate that outside of the fan club. And so there were some bits, the best bits, the bits that were the most I don't know, personal and interesting, and maybe kind of represented time capsules more than other, you know. And Stefan, look, I mean, Stefan's been a close personal friend of ours for north of 20 years, and so obviously there's nothing but trust. So he gets carte blanche to do. I haven't actually seen a final copy of the thing yet, but I will look forward to doing that. And I doubt seriously that other than a couple of layout things or a couple of kind of typographical things or whatever, that I'm sure there aren't going to be any issues.
Yeah. What was it like seeing yourself on the big screen for the first time, regarding the movie Some Kind of Monster out in July?
Yeah, I mean, you get used to seeing yourself on the screen. I mean, once you get past the double or the triple chins and all that type of stuff, the receding hairlines, the movie itself. I mean, it's obviously it's a bit of a roller coaster ride to watch because it's represents a difficult time period in my life, and so when I look at that time period, I get kind of brought back to it, and get reminded of how difficult some of that stuff was that we were going through. At the same time, I'm incredibly proud of making the movie, of the fact that we had the balls, the guts to see the movie through. Do you know what I mean? And to stick with it and to sort of bare our souls, bare ourselves, you know. So I'm definitely very, very proud of that. And I've seen it so many times now that I just, it becomes more about characters, on screen. And it becomes more about like third person stuff, you know what I mean?
These next couple questions refer to the movie. This was in the movie too, over 90 million albums since 1981. What kind of party will you throw when you hit 100 million, and will I be invited?
We probably hit 100 million as we've been sitting here talking. I don't know, man. That's the kind of stuff that they used to sell that kind of shit. I don't look at it like that so much.
All right, let's. The movie touches on your interest in art, which I never really knew anything about. But compare how an artist.
You seen the movie?
Yeah, I've seen it. Compare how an artist creating a painting to Metallica creating a song.
Well, I think it's about a purging of yourself, and it's about a kind of a process of finding a way to let what's inside you out without kind of without bending it too much, without altering it too much, without giving it a particular purpose, and the artists that I've been into have always been the ones who I feel like who purge themselves in the purest way and just let stuff that came from inside out without it being in any way contrived, conceived, having a kind of particular endpoint in mind or anything like that, you know what I mean? So I would definitely say that that there's a correlation. We've tried as much as possible to be as pure about the material as possible, be as protective of the material as possible, and to make sure that the material was not polluted. Was not polluted by anybody or anything, and that we sort of kept it as clean as possible. And then, I guess in that ways it becomes those becomes the parallels. Those become the parallels.
It was very interesting when you were talking about the art in that one of your paintings. Right? How did he know that it was done? How did he know? Like, you had to know when to stop. And I do the same thing at home when I'm like producing a piece or
exactly.
Doing research for an interview. Like, how many times do you need to rewrite the shit? You got to stop. What was the Sabbath-esque song that I was hearing in the movie when you were playing tapes for your, well, as Robert Trujillo refers to Gandalf the Grey, your father Torben, when he said delete that? Do you know he calls your father that?
Gandalf the Grey.
He goes, you reminds you of Gandalf the Grey from Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Like, no, that's Lars' dad. Remember that in the movie? Yeah. You were talking to him about I guess all the stuff that you guys were coming up with from the Presidio tapes. And
yeah, I can't remember which song. I mean, dude, there's tons of stuff from the Presidio. There's tons of stuff from that have just been laying around from those years that's still laying around. I can't remember what particular songs. There was a lot of experimenting done, a lot of stuff that just was kind of came up in the moment. A lot of stuff that wasn't really turned into songs, but more remained ideas. And it's just, I don't know. It just there's probably about another 30 bits laying around still. Yeah.
Okay. I don't know if you want to even talk about this because I've always been afraid to even ask, but since it came up in the movie, part of the therapeutic process included a meeting between you and Dave Mustaine. What, if any, is the relationship like between you and Dave now?
I don't have much of a relationship with Dave Mustaine. We shared our moments together a couple of years ago, and since then we haven't spoken much. I think, kind of just went into his own head for a while, and I haven't heard from him since he came back out.
That blew me away. That he was
that's pretty strong, isn't it?
Yeah. Compare, like, if you were a kid, you were a fan of a band, and you went to the show, and you wanted your own personal recording. Like, remember how it was back then with the shitty cassette players? Compare that to what, like, Metallica's doing for their fans and the recording equipment now, what you guys are offering.
We just try, man. A couple of years ago, we put that whole taper section thing together for the kids, where they could bring in recording equipment and kind of take the show home with them. What we try and do now is offer that same thing. Back in the day, I mean, when I went and saw Deep Purple in 1973 or whatever, if I could have taken the show home with me, I don't know what kind of mind fuck that would have been. But it's definitely, look, the internet obviously provides new opportunities, a whole new horizon, a whole new set of tools to play with and have fun with, and the fact that we can give people the ultimate concert experience, which is come to the concert, experience the concert, and then take the experience home with you and relive the experience over and over again through the internet, to me is such an awesome thing, such a natural thing, and such a great opportunity to just make the fans feel more connected to us,
Regarding the live show, can you describe or maybe compare the feeling of walking on stage those very few times, just first few times back in 1981 to compared to like how comfortable you feel now, what it's like before you walk out there now?
It's definitely more of a sense of appreciation, more of having my eyes open, more of being in the moment, and not thinking so much about like, let's get this gig over so we can go get drunk or go get laid or something. I'm definitely much more appreciative generally. I'm more open and in the moment all over the place, and including on stage. And obviously this new stage setup, all the moments we're having, I mean, they're amazing. And being out there in the round, so close to so many more fans, so many more people, 4 front rows, the drummers out, in front also, just like with the rest of the guys. It's so cool. And I'm just so appreciative of the fact that we can still do that. And 15,000 people show up in Seattle like yesterday, or 8,000 people show up in Casper, Wyoming, or whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's just so cool. And when we walk out on stage, that transformation from being back here in these cavernous dressing rooms and all this kind of weird cold vibe back in the back of these arenas to just going up on stage and feeling the warmth and the love from everybody is just so awesome.
One thing I loved about the show in Seattle was, because it was the first time I've seen the show for this tour, I was like, what other band, after every single song, does the drummer get out from behind his kit and just like go up with a huge smile on his face and just start talking to people and slapping each other's hands? Like,
I know, it's so
after
cool.
Every song, you're like, there he is, he's out from behind his set again.
Well, it's just so cool. I got a lot of kind of nervous energy when I'm on stage. I mean, it's very intense. This is a very intense show. I think a lot of the reason drummers kind of end up in the background and end up back there is because they kind of sit there and they kind of hide a little bit and they do their thing and then play their whole thing down. And there was a reason frontmen are frontmen. But so it's like, now that I'm out amongst it, it's sort of like, I got a lot of nervous energy, so I just kind of like run around and try and get in people's faces, and because anything beats like sitting down on that stool waiting for James Hetfield to finish his raps, you know what I mean? So I'm just like, I get so amped generally when I'm playing and when I'm doing the whole thing that I just run around and try and harness energy and share energy and receive and give and all that stuff. And it's just really fun to have the opportunity to do that instead of be stuck on a fucking 14-foot drum riser, 2 area codes away from the rest of the band and the audience, you know what I mean?
Yeah. I took my older brother to his first Metallica show in like 20 years in Seattle, and we were just laughing our ass off at the end, because you obviously have the most physically strenuous job of the band, and here it is at the end, and they were about to do an encore, and it was like, and you start walking off stage, and James talked to him, and like, one more song, and you were just like, oh God, one more song. And you could tell you were just having a great time, like, all right, just one more, that's it. It's very funny. Saint Anger was described by some as a return to the sound that originally put Metallica on the map. Are you trying to mirror that feeling with this tour? Like, it just seems so raw with the light bulbs when you guys start.
I try to mirror anything, man. We just don't live in the past. That is not us. I mean, you look, we have an incredible catalog of songs, and it's great to be able to always go back there and pull them out. But we don't live in the past, man. We live in the present and the future, and this is not. Rock and roll nostalgic trip. This is not I don't want to mention names, those 3 or 4 bands that tour together every summer that play, you know what I mean?
It's the same show it was last summer.
Yeah, and come here, quote, the hits, end quote. Fuck that. I
We
mean,
changed the production and the stage, and that's about
yeah.
it. Yeah.
Come here, the hits. When they advertise that in the fucking, that's not what this is, and I don't want this to be that.
Metallica's changing the set list every single night, using songs from their entire catalog. Who's in charge of that set list? I mean, is it predetermined before the show? And is there room to call audibles on stage? Say if there's a beautiful topless woman holding up a sign that says, play the song Escape. What happens?
Yours truly is the one that's mostly responsible for all that stuff. I've been blessed with the trust of the other gentlemen in Metallica to kind of put the set list together every night. So I kind of do that. I try and mix it from what we did the last couple of nights to what we did the last time we were in that particular city. When I walk into an arena, there's a set list from the last time we played that particular venue, 5 years ago, 7 years ago. I always look at it, try and play different songs than I did the night before, try and play, you know what I mean? I just always try and mix it up and try and, if we're in a particular area, then I try and mix it up so people will, get different songs than if they're traveling. There's a lot of Metallica fans that travel for hundreds of miles to see more than one show, and it's just it's my duty to give them different songs and to make them feel special by changing it all every night, and not just for them but for us, man, to keep it alive, to keep it real, to keep it vital, to keep it just to keep it human, because I don't want to get into this autopilot shit, sit there and go out and we've done it, man. We played these long tours and we'd sit there and play the same songs every night for 150 shows or whatever. It's just like, what happens if I change the song on the set list? The lighting designer has a nervous breakdown because it takes him 3 days to change the computer memory or something. Do you know what I mean? It's that kind of stuff that we used to get stuck in. Now we're not stuck in that anymore. Yeah, now we just don't give a shit. It's like, oh, the lights aren't following the song. Okay, well, at least, most of us in the band are.
Wing it, yeah. James and I were trying to figure out which songs have not been played live, and one that we could come up with was Escape. Is there a reason behind that, or?
I'm sure James can answer that a little better than me. I think that I don't know. Look, the way that everybody in this band is going right now, I think that we're up for playing anything. I mean, we're we could go anywhere. My thoughts were that James Hetfield he has some peculiar relationships with some of the songs, and my thoughts were that maybe he was not super fond of that particular song, but who knows? Maybe I'll throw it on the set list one night and see what happens.
What has the first year with new bassist Rob Trujillo been like? Talking in terms of how has he maybe changed Metallica, or how has he surprised you? Either just as a pal, as a person, or as a musician. Anything.
He is so strong, man. He is so strong for this band, so right for this band, so great. So it's just such a vibe to be with him every day, to be with him, to share this whole thing. He's such a trooper. He's so open-minded. He's so into what's going on. He's so dedicated, and it's so awesome to share this experience with him. It's effortless, man. It's effortless. We come up with jams in the studio. We come up with jams in the tuning rooms. He just locks in, and he's just such a great friend, and such a, and it's so amazing that he can. He just fits so right in, and it's so effortless. I don't know how else to put it.
Okay. I know from last year, and obviously we just talked earlier about how so physically strenuous for you, and I know you jog a lot, so we're trying to get a little color out of each person as well. And when got me thinking, when you jog, I mean, do you listen to music? What are you thinking about? I mean, what's going through your mind? Maybe talk about that a bit.
Is that the 2-minute signal?
No, you gotta go 35 minutes.
What? I
I'll-
can't. I got a show at 8:20.
I'll have you out of here in 15. I'm gonna have you out of here. We're ahead of schedule, so.
You don't need tea or anything?
No, I'm fine, thanks.
We were ahead of schedule. You just ruined the moment. Thanks, there,
You know
Mark.
what, that's what I do. I ruin the fun moment constantly. Lars will tell you all about it.
Anyway,
I
go ahead.
Well, first of all, I don't jog. I run. Pardon me. And when I'm out doing that, it's mostly peace and quiet. It's about escaping. It's about getting away from everybody. It's about the phone not ringing, the fax not, showing, fax is not showing up, that kind of stuff. I love running, and I love the mental energy that comes in the wake of running. That's what I get off on. And it's also a great way to kind of just get out in the fresh air, get out and just kind of breathe and scream and holler and, stare and do all that stuff,
Let me talk about just the Governor's Award real quick. The band recently won the 2004 Governor's Award for Creative Excellence by an outstanding achievement by the San Francisco chapter of the Recording Academy. Can you speak of the long historical connection between the band and the city by the Bay?
In 1982, Cliff Burton told me that he would not join Metallica unless we came up to the Bay Area. And then since then, it's been a love affair. It's been home. It's just been so easy, and we've been so proud to fly the flag for the Bay Area and to kind of represent and the musical legacy, the musical heritage that has been there, and it's just such an awesome place to be part of. I love the cultural curiosities, the cultural openness, the social, the political openness. People challenge each other. People do things to their own tune there, and it's just such a great place to live and to breathe and to exist.
Here's a couple song particulars we're going to use to play before songs throughout the month of Maytallica. Until It Sleeps. I once read that you have a lukewarm feeling about that song. Is that true? Why?
It was a song that was more put together kind of in the computer than on the floor. It was kind of, we had the skeleton of a song, some rough outlines, and then we kind of played it. It wasn't really working. Then something else wasn't working, and then we tried this, and then we tried that, and then it kind of ended up being kind of re-put together on the computer. And I just always felt that, I always thought it felt a little sterile.
Okay. I've been talking to a lot of the guys on the road here, your crew guys, about which songs they, and I'm going to ask you the same question, what song they like hearing live the most, and Nothing Else Matters keeps coming up. And I found this in a section of Whiplash, or from the So What magazine. A fan said, quote unquote, how would you have reacted if you had listened to Nothing Else Matters in 1983?
That is completely impossible for me to answer that, since it's not 1983.
Exactly.
So that would be one of those that could make like an interesting like Spielberg movie or something, but I can't actually answer that question because I'm not good with the what if questions.
Okay. Let's just go straight to what's your favorite Metallica song to play live, or just maybe, I know it's too hard to narrow it down to one, maybe a couple, and why?
Right now, every night I put the set list together from around 45 to 50 songs, and there aren't any that I put in there that aren't at the very top. I mean, my favorites.
That has to change moment to moment.
Yeah,
but
it
at
changes.
this moment,
I don't know, man. I like playing Fuel. I like playing Sanitarium. We've been playing Holier Than Thou a couple, 2-3 times on the tour. I like playing, I don't know, No Leaf Clover's fun to play at the moment.
That's what Kirk said.
Yeah, that's pretty fun.
Yeah. All right, this is the last question. You can get in deep into it as you want to, but it's kind of off the subject of Metallica, but we're doing a big special coming up regarding Kurt Cobain's anniversary and whatnot. And I know there was a connection between you guys and them. Could you maybe retell us a story, or maybe talk about how Nirvana has influenced you in any respect, or just something? I mean, Kirk just told us about the story. You guys almost went on tour together, which obviously didn't happen.
Yeah, I mean, look, Kurt Cobain, I mean, it's just one of those guys where you just sit there and go, whoa. And I instantly go to the selfish element, which is like, I never met him, and I really wanted to meet him, and I would have hoped that, I had a moment to meet him, because maybe it would have enriched my life even, more than meeting other people, or added something else to it, you know what I mean? Just so amazing that you can have that kind of, musicians and people can connect with people at that level by just taking all the bullshit out of it, you know what I mean? And this is so cool that he could touch so many people, and it's so sad that he's not around here 10 years later to kind of continue to touch people. The good thing is that the Nirvana music sounds, as I think, to me, as vital and as relevant and as kind of now as it always has, So I'm happy to just live on this planet with Kurt Cobain's music, and I feel that it's pretty cool that he at least got a chance to throw what he threw out there, and then we should celebrate that instead of maybe focusing so much on what could have been or what isn't, It's back. It's Metallica 2004. All month, it's mandatory Metallica. It's mandatory Metallica. All week. All weekend. All month, you'll hear about the new tour, livemetallica.com, our new film, and much more. Mandatory Metallica. Man, this is mandatory Metallica. I think I might have already said that. This is a mandatory Metallica moment. It's another mandatory Metallica moment. ... Mandatory Metallica. ... Hey, what's up, man? It's Lars from Metallica here. Keep it here for the next mandatory Metallica moment. Stay tuned for another mandatory Metallica moment. It's another mandatory Metallica moment. Mandatory Metallica. Hey, what's up, man? It's Lars from Metallica here. Keep it here for the next mandatory Metallica moment. Stay tuned for another mandatory Metallica moment. Guess what? Keep it here to score your tickets to see Metallica, Some Kind of Monster, on the big screen. Yeah, for about 3 days. Blink and you'll miss it, right? Metallica rocks the big screen, right? Some Kind of Monsters in theaters now. Oops, you missed it. Get off your ass and go see it. Only one station can send you to see Metallica on the big screen. And now, a second show's been added. What are you going to use that in about 3 markets? Well, keep it right here for your Keep it right here for your Metallica ticket hookup. Hey man, it's Lars from Metallica here. Get ready to rock with Metallica. The 2004 Madly in Anger with the World Tour. Tickets on sale this Friday at 10 a.m. at noon. Tickets on sale this Saturday, 10 a.m. at noon, at 1, at 2, at 3, at 7 minutes past 9. Tickets on sale right now. Tickets are not on sale. Fuck you. Tickets aren't going to be on sale. You live in a city we don't care about. We're not going to play your fucking town. Tickets on sale now. Oops, you missed it. It's sold out already.